one sister, but our situation is mostly fine now. Feel that one sister questionable, but anyway. Oh my gosh. Even though we still live a relatively modest life and we can't afford to go out to expensive trips in other countries, even our honeymoon was only a trip to a beach from a country where we've already been, and even that cost us quite a bit. Wow, that is quite sad, I can't lie. But I kind of feel it. I get it. That stuff is expensive, very expensive, and sometimes that's sort of like dream honeymoon. Dream wedding is not exactly what you're gonna dream it to be. It's not always possible. My wife's older brother, 33M, is definitely much wealthier than us, and is known for spoiling his now fiancée, 30F, with gifts and expensive trips. Definitely can understand why that is gonna. Yeah, I feel like I know where this is going. My wife definitely commented a couple of times on it, and I could feel she was secretly jealous about it. Of course she is. I mean, I can't lie, I would be. It's hard not to be, right? It's a natural human emotion. She and her brother are definitely very close to each other, and he helped us quite a bit during the times he was struggling financially, and he even allowed her to be a bridesmaid at his wedding, even though my wife and brother-in-law's fiancé aren't really close. I mean, my sister's my fiancé's bridesmaid. I didn't think it was that uncommon. But anyway, also she could have been a groomswoman. That's the thing I've seen people do. I really was like, I actually talked with Katie a little bit about it when we were planning what we wanted to do with like, I don't know, like best men and stuff, and I had debated, like we discussed whether or not we were going to do like my sister as a bridesmaid or I was going to have her as a groomswoman, but yeah, it was, anyway, it's totally unrelated. Sorry, I totally lost my train of thought there. Yesterday, my brother-in-law announced in front of their family that he wants to reward his sister for putting so much effort into planning his wedding, by full-on paying for both of us to go together with him and his fiancée on their honeymoon in Paris for a week. Interesting. Before I could say anything, my wife immediately accepted and hugged her brother. But then his fiancée started going on at him about inviting us to their honeymoon without discussing it with her beforehand, and my brother-in-law defended himself by saying he just wanted to help his sister experience something she can't do on her own. Okay. Oh, this is a difficult one. I mean, it's not done yet, so we're going to continue going through. So, let's keep going on. They were arguing when my wife suddenly intervened and told his brother's fiancée to stop acting like such an entitled brat, because not everyone's as lucky as her to have a wealthy enough partner to support them. She's kind of made herself the a-hole there. Brother-in-law's fiancée started yelling at my wife about how she's a leech, she's just leeched to her brother who took over our wedding and now wants to invade her honeymoon too. I eventually got my wife out of there and on the way out I told her that maybe it'd be better for us to refuse going on my brother-in-law's honeymoon as his fiancée is clearly uncomfortable with it. She asked me if I was an idiot for wanting to pass up a trip to Paris for free, that she worked way too hard to convince her brother to invite us, for her to back up from it now. I told her that maybe she could arrange something else for us, and I don't want to be the reason the marriage falls apart, but my wife told me their marriage is not our business but theirs, and if it falls apart, it'd only be my brother-in-law's fiancé's fault. I told my wife I want no part in this and I won't be going on this shared honeymoon. She started arguing with me about how she can't believe I'll act this way when she only did this for us, and said she'll take her brother's offer without me if she has to. We ended up sleeping in different beds, and even today my wife's still giving me the cold shoulder. Am I the a-hole for my refusal? No. You're not the a-hole. There's only one a-hole in this story, and it's your sister, your wife, and basically your wife. Let's be honest, I think we can all agree on that. I don't think anyone else is the AOR in this necessarily. It sounds like the brother-in-law has been kind of coerced into giving this offer. Makes me wonder how much he's been coerced elsewhere. I think the brother-in-law seems to be a pretty decent person in wanting to help family and let his sister experience something, but there's a time and a place. There's absolutely no reason that they have to go on the honeymoon. What would have been the ideal situation here, if he wanted to, and if this, a gift from him and he wants to let them experience something, would have been to have them go on their honeymoon, and then, like, say next year they all go away as a family to a location. Now, maybe the fiance, i.e. the brother-in-law's wife now, has a problem with that, then ultimately that's a discussion between them and the brother-in-law. But it's kind of hard, isn't it? Because it really depends on whose money it is, right? Because, I mean, they're married, so technically speaking, legally, it's both of theirs, but at the same time, like, I would find it very difficult, and I'm gonna flip the gender here just to make it seem a little bit more like, to put it a bit into perspective. But for example, if Katie makes more money than I do, and say Katie was willing to fund with the money that she had left over from what we share, pay for things for the house, if she wanted to use that extra money to invite family members on a holiday, I would have no right to say you can't spend your money on that, because it's not my money to do so. So I think it's I think that's complicated itself. But if it was using my money, or using money that I added to a pool, but I wasn't allowed to have a say in what was going on with that, or if I wasn't allowed to invite my own family members, that would be an issue. But, like, I think that itself is just a very complicated financial situation, talking about that with your partner. But that aside, and I feel like that's a reasonable argument, right? What else was I going to say? So that could have been its own thing, right? They go off and they go and do it at a different time. But what it actually seems like is not only the brother-in-law didn't intend to invite, but was coerced into doing it by the sister-in-law, or the sister, sorry, the OP's wife. It seems like she has sewn herself in, and she definitely seems like a manipulative little person. It seems like a red flag. It sounds like you probably should have married this person, if I'm honest, and that they're quite vindictive. I wonder if you were manipulated into marrying them. Honestly, who knows? But yeah, and the fact that clearly he's like, look, I don't feel comfortable with this. Look, it's clearly not okay with the fiance. He didn't ask her. I'm not prepared to be in the middle of a situation. She's like, yeah, but screw my brother's marriage. I want to go to Paris. That is so messed up. She does not care. She seems super materialistic. Me. I'm starting to wonder why you were in a financially bad situation. Because if this is anything to go off of, it sounds like maybe she was spending a little bit too much money, and I can't really say anything. I've been that person. But like, I think the contexts are very different. I did do it because I wanted everything for myself, whereas she's giving that impression. But there's the story. Hope you enjoyed that one, guys. Shall we check some of the comments? That's my uptake. I don't even know if it's that much of an uptake. Yeah, come on in. Not the a-hole. You're in the right for this situation. You're in the right for this situation. It's wrong when your wife is acting aggressive and strange to you and her future sister-in-law. A honeymoon is for the bride and groom. Sit everyone down. That your brother-in-law apologise to brother-in-law's fiance if your wife refuses to do so, and suggest you go on a 4-person trip. after their honeymoon. Exactly what I said. It's exactly what they should do. The OP has responded, actually. I already suggested to my wife to convince her brother to arrange something else for us, but she said that she already has plans for the trip for that on their honeymoon. She doesn't want to give up on them. Nah, I'm not gonna lie. I hope you have a prenup, because like this person seems awful. You know that your wife, and someone's responded to that. You know that your wife isn't really fine with your financial situation, as you seem to believe. Probably the only reason she's so dead set on going with when her brother is going on the honeymoon is that they'll probably pay for the plans she already has in mind. Your mum, I was about to say your mum. Your mum. Your wife is really selfish, and there's a high possibility there may not be a wedding if she continues with this behaviour, and all she'll care about is the trip to Paris. Oh, I thought they'd already got married. I thought the fiance, they were just using fiance for like consistency. I thought they got married at the end of the story, but maybe I completely messed that up. How on earth the sister-in-law is going to want OP's wife to be involved as a bridesmaid at this point is crazy. While I agree, the brother-in-law inviting them without asking his future wife is enough for there not to be a wedding. He could have sponsored a trip for them or planned a separate group vacation. I do agree with that, but I think there seems to be context. It seems like what's happened there, based on what the OP has said, is that the wife, the sister, oh my gosh, I can't get this right. OP's wife has intentionally tried to convince the brother-in-law. Now, I agree the brother-in-law should have spoken to his fiancée, but like, it seems like there's more context there than simply to say that the brother-in-law wanted to just do it. I could see them all going to Paris when the brother-in-law and his wife go on their honeymoon if they stayed at different hotels far apart and did not meet up until the flight back home. Maybe a dinner on the last night or coffee at a cafe or something. Do you know what? That's not a bad idea, but that's obviously not what has been suggested. Yeah, I mean, I can't believe she called this sister-in-law a brat. Almost like, it's so ironic or hypocritical. Any other fun comments? And then we're going to read the next one. She planned for this. I worked hard to convince him. He's going to ruin a relationship with his sister-in-law. And what do you think about this greedy behaviour? Not the AL, but your wife is one. Yeah, this is kind of crazy. I'm just seeing if OP's responded to any other comments. I've only seen one, but these do have a lot of ones on it. They responded about just the same comment as the last one. We're going to move on to the next story then. So, the next story here is, was I being the a-hole for setting boundaries with my wife's best friend who keeps hitting on me in front of my wife? Oh dear. I'm a 33-year-old man and I've been married to my wife for 6 years. For the last 2 years, my wife's best friend has been hitting on me, but only when my wife is around. It started off as occasional flirty comments, but it's gotten more frequent and more intense. For example, she'll say things like, "If only I had met you first." Ooh, that's bad. You know, you look really hot in that shirt. She even once jokingly sat on my lap during a group gathering and said, "I hope your wife wife doesn't mind if I steal you for a moment. Both my wife and her friends seem to think it's hilarious. They laugh about it together, and my wife has even told me, don't flatter yourself, she doesn't want to sleep with you. I would be careful making that assumption. Despite their assurances that it's all good fun, I find it really uncomfortable and disrespectful. I try to talk to my wife about how this makes me feel, and she brushes it off, saying it's just a joke and I shouldn't take it seriously. I don't find it funny at all, and it's starting to affect how I feel in social situations with them. I'm at a point where I feel like I need some boundaries with her. I need to set some boundaries with her friend directly to make it clear that the behaviour is not acceptable to me. However, I'm worried that this might cause tension, especially since my wife thinks I'm overreacting. So, was I being the AO? If I took it, would I be the AO if I took it upon myself to set these boundaries? Oh, maybe the first one wasn't. Was I being the AO? Is would I be the AO? I don't like these acronyms sometimes. Would I be the AO if I took it upon myself to set these boundaries with my wife's best friend, even though my wife thinks it's all just a joke? I've got one thing to say to you. Turn around to her and say to her, would you be overreacting if my guy best friend, put you on his lap? Would you be overreacting if he looked you up and down and said, man, I'd love to sleep with you? Like, these are double standards, right? These are the double standards that get talked about a lot, and I'm going to be real with you. I think the majority of women would understand that is a double standard and say that's inappropriate, that is unacceptable. I think this person is very much an outlier. Now, I would like to think that, of course, I can't evidentially back that up, but I would say, generally speaking, that most people understand that double standard, despite what a lot of media would try to make men believe. But that's delving into a different topic. So basically, I would say, generally speaking, most people would understand that behaviour is unacceptable. And I don't know what self-respecting person would want their best friend to be flirting that way. But first things first, you wouldn't be the AO. Obviously, you're setting a boundary. You're being effectively sexually harassed, and you're saying, I don't want that. Your wife is allowing that to happen, and is endorsing it and belittling it. I think the best way you can, if you do set that boundary, which I think you should, and she turns around and says, oh, you're just being pathetic, I think you should turn around to her and say what I just said, which is, if my male best friend was doing the exact same thing to you, what would you want my reaction to be? And if she's like, oh, it's different, then that's the moment okay, well then you don't care about me, you don't care about this relationship, see you later. That is one of the biggest red flags, and I try to not be that person that's like divorce, but there are some boundaries that once that's happened, there's no other recourse, right? And one of them is suggesting that you being sexually harassed is not an issue, and that is a boundary that cannot be saved, or you cannot come back from overstepping. So I think if she takes an issue with it, you need to leave that relationship. It's not worth it. And I'm sorry that you've been there for 6 years, but it sounds to me like there's probably red flags that have been along the way if this has been going on. It's this last 2 years, which is weird. I don't know, maybe she wants a threesome or something, but also like the don't flatter yourself, she doesn't want to sleep with you, is so backhanded as well. It's like, okay, so you're saying I'm ugly then, like what do you want from me? What do you want my reaction to be from that? Oh, God, I hate people like this. It's just disgusting. I really don't think there was anything controversial in what I said there. I think it's all very obvious and self-explanatory. Let's see what the comments are, because we all know what's going to be. Not the AO. This behaviour isn't normal, and I think your wife might know deep down that her friend is just naturally flirty and that nothing serious will come of it. That's unacceptable though. It's probably uncomfortable for her, but she might avoid making things awkward for you or her friend. Your wife's trust in you is a positive thing, but this situation is making you uncomfortable. You need to address it directly. Clearly, her friend needs to stop with the flirty comments as it's disrespectful. If this upsets your wife, ask her why it affects her so much. Does she enjoy seeing someone flirting with you? It's strange how strongly she defends this behaviour. Yeah, I don't agree that she's defending him because she's awkward. Feels awkward about it. Because she would talk to him in private, she'd say like, look, I know it's a bit weird, isn't it? But like, I don't think it's intentional. She is saying, oh, get over it. Like, it's different. There's a very big difference. Yeah, and someone's gone here has quoted that person who said, your wife's trusting you is a positive thing, and they've replied, yeah, but she's also letting him be literally sexually harassed. The trust is the only positive thing here. But I don't agree that there's any trust. I don't think there's trust there. It's weird. I don't get it. Or she's like this, or she's testing him. I mean, if anyone feels the need to test, see you later. They've been married for 6 years. Get a grip. If we need to test someone at that point, you don't deserve to be in a relationship. Yeah, everyone's agreeing that it is sexual harassment. I think OP gives his wife 2 options. Either we put up a boundary that we both agree with, or I start to return the flirting. If OP's wife trusts him and knows nothing is going to happen, why can't he flirt as well? Wife has obviously given the green light for it by allowing the friend to do it. It's open season with flirting. If the friend starts it, OP finishes it. Because I think as soon as he says anything remotely back, the friend will freak out and stop. That's a valid point. Honestly, like, I mean, if she's flirting forward and he gives it back and she freaks out, I mean, what do you want? what do you expect to happen when you're flirting like that to get flirt back? Like, you can't say it's a joke and sexually harass someone. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I would love to know what her reaction would be if his friend started doing this to her. Anything else? Any other interesting replies here? They're all just comments to the response. Someone's got an interesting response here. For F's sake, because I'm keeping this video monetized, not the AO. I have experience with this one. A friend of my wife's came over to our house shortly after separating from her husband. She hit on me in a less subtle way, offering me a BJ right in front of my wife. Jesus. Completely sober, hadn't had a single drink yet at that point. Later, I had complained to my wife about it, and she said her friend wasn't serious. But if I had said that to her friend instead, it would be labelled as sexual harassment, and it was a joke, wouldn't fly as an excuse. Flippin'-lutely. I'd suggest telling your wife that she needs to tell her friend to cut it out, and if she doesn't, then you will respectfully, of course. I can't lie. I mean, I was gonna say, like, if my friend offered that to my fiance, but like, ultimately, it's not the same way around. But I think if one of Katie's friends offered that to me, she'd go fucking nuts. I really want to see if OP replied to anything. Yeah, I'm glad that everyone is agreeing about the harassment here. But I just can't see any responses from OP, which was what I was hoping for. But there we go. Alright, well, the coffee is done, guys. Thank you very much for listening to another video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to drop a like below. And consider subscribing if you're not already. Hit that bell icon if you are. Go check out the videos on the side of the screen. Keep an eye out for another Am I the AR video. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye. Bye bye.